Hello and welcome to today's Python tutorial for beginners. Today we are going to make an email slicer. So let's see what it is we are going to make by the end of this video. Now we are going to enter our email here. Let's say info@mail.com. Press enter. Your username is info and your domain name is mail.com. So this has sliced email before @ and after @. What if I mention something, or type in something without an @, something like info.mail.com? I get an error, invalid email, because there is no @ in it. And if I do something like just @media.com, again I get an error. There is nothing before @. And it's the same for after @. If I don't enter anything here, I will get an error. Also, if I put two @ there, for example, info.media.com, again I get an error because there are two @ in there. So this is not about validating emails in a very good way. This is just for practicing some conditional statements to check for the existence of one @ there, or if it's more than one, and these things. So it's more for practice. Now let's see how we can make this. I'm going to remove this, and so this is my Replit account. So you can simply go to replit.com, make an account, and then you have a Python environment online you can work with. Alright, let's start by creating a variable. I would call it email, and here let's say info@mail.com. Now we need to know several things. First of all, how I can have access to different characters in this email. How can I have access to the first character, the last one, or somewhere in between? So the way we do it is by going email, which is our variable, and then we have to use a number inside square brackets. And why a number? Because our string is divided into numbers. That is, this one, I, is not index 0, N is index 1, index 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So in most programming languages, you start from 0 for the strings and for lists as well. So if I put in 0, I'm saying I want the index 0 of email. Now let's print this and see what happens. So if I print this, Control Enter, and indeed I have I, which is the first one. If I want to have F, it is 0, 1, 2, right? So if I put in 2, then I will get F. What if I want the last one? If I want the last one, I can simply put in -1, and I get M. So this is -2, -3, -4, -5. So it starts from the end. Another thing is that if I want something between, let's say, from index 0 up to here, that is, if I want from index 0, where is I, and then 1, 2, 3, how can I choose these 4 items, that is from index 0 to index 3? So again, I would go by putting my starting point 0, colons, to mention that I want it up to index 4. Why 4 and not 3? This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. But I included 4 because it means I want from 0 up to, but not including 4. Our @ is 4. So when you start and go, when you get to @ stop before that. If I print this, I get info. Now the key here is to know where the @ is. When you have the number of the index of the @ you know where to stop. Now, another point is that when you start from 0, you don't need to mention 0 anyways. You can leave it out, but you need to have this colon to say up to, but not including 4. If I run it again, still the same. Now that I know our @ sign is at index 4, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have got access to info, things before it. I can also have access to the things after it. This time I need to start from, let's say 4, and up to, just leave it out because it means that to the end. But there would be a problem here. Let me show you what the problem is. If I press here, I get at mail.com, not just mail.com. Why? Because index 4 is indeed @ sign, but I'm starting from it. So I need to maybe start from an index before them, after that. So whatever index our @ sign is, maybe we can add 1 to it, and then it would give us mail.com now. Cool. Now let's do this one more time. So this time I'm going to start from 0 and go to 4 and print this inside. Let's say your username is, and here we're going to add this value, whatever value this is, and then the same, I'm going to say another message here, but this time we want to start from index 5 to the end. Now if I run this, your username is info, and your, well, username, oh yeah, it shouldn't be username, your domain or your domain name. So your username is info, your domain is mail.com. Okay, that was not complicated because we know exactly where @ is. So how can we make it real? Because in most cases we don't know the index number of @. Imagine we had something like that, like information. If I print this, your username is info again, and your domain is mation@email.com. It doesn't work like that. So it changes all the time. Now, we need to get access to the number, the index of @, and then we put it here and here instead of 4. But how can we know which index @ is? So for that, Python has a solution. We simply need to say email.index, and here index of whatever character you want, single quotes, @. So I'm asking to get the index number of @ in my email. I'm going to print this so that you see what number it gives us, and it should give us actually number 4, right? And 4 is here. So now we know how to find the index number of @ wherever it is. Doesn't matter how many characters are before or after it. So remember, this is going to be a number, email index. Now let's just replace this, cut this, and put it instead of 4. I'm going to put this number. So this is going to be instead of 4, right? And instead of 4, and again we need to keep this +1, right? Now let's print this again, and let's see. Your username is info, your domain is mail.com. What if we choose another, like information? Does it work again? And yes, it does. Information, and your domain is mail.com. Cool. So this worked. So this is the email slicer, but if you want to have only this knowledge, alright, you can leave now. But if you want to know more, let's spend some more time together. Now what if, well, first of all, we don't want to enter the information like this. We want the user to give us some information. So let's say enter, we're going to ask for an input, enter an email to slice, some space, and now whatever email the user gives us, for example, rain@cloud.com. Your username is rain, your domain is cloud.com. Cool. But the thing is, if we have this input without an @ sign, for example, let's say rain.cloud.com, then it gives us this ugly error. It's because there is no @ sign, right? So we should check only if there is one @ sign there and not 2 or 3. Then go to the next level. How do we check that? Well, in Python you have this built-in method for strings. You say if email.count, so we want to count the instances of @ in email. So if email.count @ sign, that is, you should count how many @ signs there are, and if that number is equal to 1, then we should indent this, because this is going to under if statement now, then print this. What else? Just say else print invalid email. So this is 1. Now, so we are checking that there is at least one, well, actually only one @ sign inside our email. But what about other conditions? For example, let's say we have something, let me just give an example here, info@media.com. For example, let's say we don't have this, no username. What then? That is, it means that the length of the username, which is username this one, the length of this one is 0. So it should be invalid then. Now let's include it here. And length of what? Length of this, that is a username. If the length of that username is indeed bigger than 0, it means there's at least, like, I don't know, an A or a B or a C or a V here. This should happen. Okay, cool. What if there is nothing here? Okay, let's say the domain name, right? So let's say and len, now we should check for the length of this one now, the domain. Now if the length of the domain name is bigger than, let's say 3, because yeah, there is something here, then there is dot, and there is comma, whatever, so at least there are 3 characters. So if the length of it is bigger than 3, then this should happen. That is, print these. Okay? I hope it makes sense. Now let's run this, go back, enter an email. Let's say info@media.com. Your username is info, your domain is media.com. Okay, good. Now I want also one more, what the last thing is that I want to keep doing, I don't want to click on this again and again. So what I do is I use a while loop to put everything here inside a while loop so that it just goes forever and ever. So I would say while true, it means while true is true, which is always true. Keep doing this, keep asking for users input and then print something out. So it will do that forever. Now let me show you what I mean. So enter an email, info@media.com. Username info, domain media.com. Now again, we should do it again. So I don't need to press here all the time. Now let's say this time I put 2 @ signs here. So info@media.com. invalid email. What if I don't use anything here? So I just say at media.com, invalid email. What if I say info at dot, invalid email? You see? So this is how it works. Very simple, yet nice to practice some Python with. Thank you for listening and watching.